Welcome back to another video here on the channel. In this one I want to look back on the ending year and also take a look into the future, namely 2022 in terms of Bitcoin. As usual, Messari created a crypto thesis report for the coming year. There will also be a second video in which I cover the rest of the 164-page report, looking at industry trends, regulation, predictions, etc. Today is Bitcoin only though. Next to the ideas formulated by Messari or Ryan Selkis in person, I will also add my own thoughts and ideas and give you my thesis for the coming year. So, thesis number 1, no flippenings, Bitcoin remains the king. I think that's an interesting take coming from Ryan Selkis, co-founder and CEO of Messari, who is very much a multi-chain proponent. If we're just thinking about the store of value and money category, there is not even anything in sight that could overtake Bitcoin in market cap. If we think about crypto in general, then Ethereum is the only contender. I think there definitely is a chance that Ethereum flippens Bitcoin. I mean, the chances are low, or the possibility in general is low in my opinion, but it's not zero. But it doesn't really change anything when it comes to the value proposition of Bitcoin. It just means that the market values the world computer thing more than money during that period in time. In other words, we look at BTC against ETH like we would do with M0 against Google. Funnily enough, every time people start talking about the flippening, ETH crashes like crazy against Bitcoin. So Ethereans should probably not use the forbidden flippening word. ETH also needs to look out for competitors on its own, with Solana, Avalanche and others gaining steam. More on that in the coming crypto thesis video. Thesis number 2, the quote-unquote gift of Bitcoin ETFs. The SEC being so slow with its acceptance of a Bitcoin ETF was ironically quite positive for Bitcoin. It led to less concentration by basically keeping Wall Street out of the equation and more people holding their own keys. In the US there is a Bitcoin futures ETF by now, but no Bitcoin spot ETF. My prediction for 2022 would be that we get one. Ryan's thesis is that total BTC locked in ETF-like vehicles will remain less than 10% of outstanding Bitcoin supply in the next 5 years. And I would agree with that. Thesis number 3, the great fall of China's Bitcoin industry. This was a pretty monumental moment in 2021, China banning Bitcoin mining from the country. China has banned, or allegedly banned, some part of Bitcoin a gazillion times by now that everyone thought this is a minor news once again. But it wasn't. The exodus was real and the network's hash rate dropped by 40%. Good thing is it already completely recovered, with the US embracing the miners with open arms. It's hard to overstate how incredible this development was. Since 2013, China's shadow in the Bitcoin markets has loomed large. Investors worried what would happen to the network security if Chinese mining capacity were turned off. It turns out, basically nothing. No more hash rate FUD. Policymakers worried about the carbon footprint of mining, where China had one of the dirtiest coal-powered energy mixes. That's out too. No more climate FUD. Although we will get back to climate FUD later again, because I don't think it will go away anytime soon. Ryan says that there is a 70% chance that the mining ban will be reversed in 2022 for geopolitical reasons. I would go with something like 30 to 40%, however I believe mining will grow again regardless of the ban. Thesis number 4, lightning strikes El Salvador. Bitcoin achieved what no other crypto, token or stablecoin achieved: becoming legal tender in a country. This is an incredible story and I honestly believe that El Salvador is really early here. The speculations of which country enters next and at what point in time are consistently ongoing, but I have quite a bearish stance here. I don't think that another country will join in the next 2 or maybe 3 years. I'll be happily proven wrong. I do believe though that Lightning will grow faster and faster over the coming years and become the go-to payment solution for Bitcoiners. Thesis number 5, please check on Peter Schiff. Ryan starts this section by a Suzu quote which sums it up nicely. Gold will get demonetized so brutally, your grandkids will think a gold digger is someone who scavenges for metal scraps in the dumpster to sell for sats. Gold is the money of the past. It can't really compete with Bitcoin and this gets clearer day after day. Bitcoin has eaten gold's lunch for a decade. This should have been a boom time for gold bugs. High inflation, low trust in government, commodities booming. But instead, gold was outflanked by a faster, younger, wilder horse in Bitcoin. Investing $100 in gold 10 years ago would have yielded $102 today, underperforming inflation. Meanwhile, investing $100 in BTC over the time period would have yielded $1.7 million. This will simply continue into the future. Thesis number 7, the Multichain Reserve. What Ryan means here is that an increasing amount of Bitcoin will be locked on other blockchains. This trend was noticeably year over year so far. At the end of 2021, more than 1.5% of the Bitcoin supply is wrapped on Ethereum, which is double the amount of the previous year. If the future is one of hundreds or thousands of interoperable blockchains, then end users won't necessarily know or care which blockchains the monetary application runs on. Bitcoin holders will hold and use Bitcoin as a digital gold alternative without worrying about the technical details that govern which chain or pegged Bitcoin derivative they use along the way, just as long as the base Bitcoin blockchain hums and produces blocks every 10 minutes as a settlement layer. Only thing I can really say here is that wrapped Bitcoin is not Bitcoin. Pegged Bitcoin derivatives are not Bitcoin. Yes, both of them can have advantages, so use them if they benefit you, but holding the keys to your Bitcoin is not the same as a derivative. Thesis number 7. Bitcoin as clean energy stimulus. As I said, getting back to energy FUD, Bitcoin's energy consumption is still widely misunderstood among critics. It's often framed as a problem when it's the exact opposite. Bitcoin's energy consumption is only a problem because most politicians and mainstream media pundits are either stupid, lazy or dishonest, usually all three. Watch this clip of Jordan Peterson getting his mind completely blown by the Bitcoin mining energy dynamics.
But with Bitcoin, you just need an internet connection. You take the Bitcoin miners to where that energy is, and then you can monetize that energy and turn it into Bitcoin. It's magic.
So what's the net effect of that on the price of electricity worldwide? Is that deflationary with regards to electricity cost?
I think so. I think this is a point that I make in the fiat stand, which is that we've had fiat subsidize all these dysfunctional forms of energy over the last 50 years that have led to the grid becoming unreliable. And we have Bitcoin, like the vigilante savior that it is, coming in and providing a global subsidy for anybody who can make electricity at a cheap rate to monetize that. And I think,
well, not only at a global subsidy, but so interesting, because not only you could go to where the energy is cheap with virtual certainty that you're going to make more and more money as the value of the Bitcoin increases by investing there, assuming that the value of Bitcoin is going to continually increase, which is a logical presupposition if it's as stable as is claimed, and it's finite in the way that you're describing, and increasingly widely accepted by vast numbers of people. So it's also an investment that's likely to increase in value over time rather than decrease. So it takes some of the uncertainty out of investing in cheap electricity generating processes that are geographically isolated. I just can't believe that's true. It's amazing that I think I must be misunderstanding, because it seems like you can move the value of the electricity magically without any of the problems of transportation.
yes, exactly.
Wow, that's really something. Like that idea that you can monetize energy production in areas that wouldn't be able to ship the electricity to market. That's absolutely mind-boggling. It'll take me like 5 years to think that through. And it seems to completely contradict the idea that Bitcoin is a waste of the world's resources, right? It's a complete opposite if this monetization idea is actually true.
Bitcoin mining is converging with the energy sector with an amazing rapidity, yielding an explosion of innovation that will both decarbonize Bitcoin in the medium term and will dramatically benefit increasingly renewable grids. What's more, it appears that only Bitcoin, rather than other industrial load sources, can actually achieve some of these goals. As I said, I do believe that energy FUD is here to stay for a long time. It's the most political subject ever, and it's super easy to make Bitcoin look evil through its energy consumption. Anyway, I can't help but get fired up about this subject when politicians and the media just outright lie about the dynamics. Do your homework. Thesis number 8. Proof of stake works because proof of work worked. Proof of work and proof of stake are not substitutes. They are not even complements. They are two fundamentally different things and should not be compared or contrasted. I actually didn't really get this part of the report because I can't really find a thesis in it. Ryan talks about how proof of work and proof of stake are very different from one another, which they surely are, but there is no thesis like Bitcoin will move to proof of stake, which it absolutely won't. I do agree with the conclusion of the section though. Proof of work success paved the way for proof of stake research to be taken seriously. That doesn't mean proof of stake will overtake proof of work as a superior security model, nor does it mean proof of work will prove infallible. It means proof of work was first and probably still best for stateless money apps. Thesis number 9, again proof of work. It protects minority rights. The too long didn't read is Bitcoin's social contract, proof of work mining scheme and bias for user-activated soft forks make it the only crypto protocol to protect minority rights amidst the tyranny of the majority offered by hard forks. This is Ryan Selkis summarizing Pete Rizzo's argument. I do wonder what the next intra-political battle will be about. Bitcoin had the scaling block size wars and Ethereum had a highly controversial hard fork during the same period of time. Do you think the most likely path to censorship is in soft fork code activated by the validator network whose incentives are tied to ongoing transaction processing, or code that's hard forked and activated by the majority of the owner base whose incentives are tied to the capital they have accumulated? And thesis number 9, the Bitcoin roadmap. Yes, Taproot is finally here, but it takes a lot more work to make it really useful. So 2022 will be the year for wallet upgrades and infrastructure improvements regarding Taproot. It's also hard to estimate the impact of Taproot at this point. It's great for privacy and Lightning, but Ryan argues that the effects of Bitcoin smart contracts, which is an important feature to some, might be less strong. I tend to agree with it, or would at least say the effects are relatively unknown. I'm not euphoric at least. That's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it and took something out of it. If you did, I would appreciate it if you leave a like and subscribe to the channel for further content. As always, you won't get a price prediction from me. The price could go up, it could go down, I don't know, and I don't really care. It's just 1 year, which is a really short time frame when you're into Bitcoin. However, I am really bullish about the developments of Bitcoin and the growing understanding, which is really what makes adoption happen anyway. So again, if you enjoyed the video, I would appreciate it if you leave a like and sub, and then I see you next time.